Howdy, friends. This here is Alvin, the Alvarez. He's joining me today on this video. This is the long-awaited video where I tell the story of how me and my wife got a standing ovation playing on stage at the Ryman Auditorium. For those who don't know, the Ryman Auditorium, often called the Mother Church of Country Music, it's the traditional home of the Grand Ole Opry before it moved out to the Opryland site. And back in the 1970s, they were thinking of tearing it down because it needed some renovation work, and downtown areas of big cities weren't real popular back then. And thank God that wiser heads prevailed, and they chose to renovate it and keep it. And back then, the year is 2005. My wife and I, we hadn't gotten married yet. We were taking our first vacation together, and both being musicians, we thought of Nashville as a great place to go on vacation. And so we went to see things like the Bluebird Cafe, the Country Music Hall of Fame, RCA Studio B, just your typical touristy kind of things to do. And of course, one of those, the Ryman Auditorium. Well, there was no concerts going on there that day, but you could go up there and pay some money and get a tour of the Ryman. If you pay a little extra money, you get the backstage tour. The backstage tour gets you, tour guide, all the dressing room areas, and you get to go on stage yourself. And you can get your picture taken on stage. This is by their professional photographer at the time, me on stage at the Ryman Auditorium. Here's another picture of it with me and my wife together. For some reason, my wife wanted two photos, one with just me and one with both me and her. So, we also had a guitar on that stage as a sort of prop for you to be taking your picture with. And because my wife wanted two pictures, they hadn't gone digital yet in 2005. They still had the photographer actually doing a quick developing photograph right there. And so it took about 5 to 10 minutes, depending, for each one to develop before the next one could be taken. So while we were waiting between the first one and the second one, I was holding that guitar they had on stage there. Not this one, it's a different guitar, but I was like, hey, is this thing in tune? And I filled with it. It seemed to be pretty close to tune. I tuned up and I said to my wife, come on up, let's do a song. So we commenced to playing and singing this song. I wouldn't let my dear Savior in. Jesus came like an angel in the night. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw the light. I saw the light. No more in darkness, no more in night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw the light, I saw the light, no more in darkness, no more in night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I said, praise the Lord. I saw the light. And then we got a standing ovation from everyone who was in the little tour group with us. So that's the story of how my wife and I played on stage at the Ryman Auditorium and got a standing ovation. And the funny thing that happened is that afterwards our little tour guide came up to us and said, "Do you know who wrote that song?" Well, of course, my wife and I answered in unison, "Hank." See y'all later.